Hey guys, welcome back to the Hess Project. I'm John Odorlaza, and we're here to talk about Season 2, Episode 2 of The Mandalorian. Now, this episode, in my honest and brutally honest opinion, was probably the weakest out of all 10 episodes in the entirety of the Mandalorian series. I know some people disliked the Gunslinger episode from season 1 and a couple other ones that they thought were weak. I know people said Dave Filoni's episodes in season 1 were kind of weak. Because he's never directed live action. He's only directed the Clone Wars and, produced that. That's very different because it's an animated project as opposed to live action. So I understand, but I felt the 2 episodes that he directed in season 1 were fairly decent. I thought all of them were decent. I had my nitpicks with the Gunslinger episode specifically, but overall I thought it was an enjoyable episode. This one, however, was like one of those, where Mando and Baby Yoda are aiding this new character that we've never seen before. It's happened a couple times already. We've been down this road before. So it should work, but for some reason it just didn't this week. So this episode picks up with Baby Yoda and Mando on the speeder driving by. It picks up right after the last episode when we saw Jango. Not Jango, Boba, the actor who played Jango, of course. We saw Boba on top of the mountain, checking them out, watching them as they drove by on the speeder with the 2 sons. I really want the follow-up to that episode, but we're not going to get that for a while, because it's an 8-episode season. We're going to have to wait another 6 weeks to see everything play out, or we're just going to have to wait till season 3 for some storylines to play out. Similar to season 1, some of these threads are being picked up now in season 2. And that's what I really like about this Mandalorian show. It really strings out all of its plots and all of its storylines, makes it feel a little realistic, if you will, because, we've only seen Star Wars stories play out between an hour and 50-minute movie to 2.5 hours of a movie. So it's really great that they're utilizing the TV series format beautifully. Like, honestly, they are. Now, yes, I'm rambling on about other things like the show in general because there really wasn't a lot to talk about in this episode of The Mandalorian. There really wasn't. I'm being honest with you guys. I love the show. I love Mando. I love Baby Yoda. I'm there for whoever they want to introduce in this series. But this frog lady that was in this episode, she was trying to get back to her husband in the parsec, like right next to them or something, and she couldn't. They couldn't go into hyperdrive because the babies were gonna die. That's right. She's carrying a bunch of eggs. She's got this fish tank, if you will, a fish tank backpack filled with her offspring, and she's got to bring them to her husband, of course, and that's it. Yeah, it's a passageway storyline. That's why it's called The Passenger. There were a lot of plot inconveniences, in my opinion, like the whole warp drive thing, she not being able to go into hyperdrive, I think that's what it's called, because the babies would die if they go into hyperdrive. I understand that, but it just, to me, it just reeked of, we have to stretch this story out somehow, so that's their way of doing it. And it just reeked of, like, desperation to, stretch out the storyline for that episode. Again, it wasn't bad, but, coming off of last week's banger of a premiere, I really wanted more out of this episode. Going back to the beginning of this episode, because again, I'm trying to get my way through this, because there's really nothing to talk about, like I said. So, Mando meets up with that lady from the other episode. She tells him, hey, this guy I'm playing poker with, she's playing poker with, like, some huge insect. She's like, this guy knows some intel on where you can find Mandalorians, but you gotta gamble for me, essentially. And long story short, she tells Mando, look, he'll do this if you do him a favor and us a favor. Take this frog lady to the next parsec to her husband so she can bring her babies because they're special in their species, to keep the offspring living or something. I don't know what she said. Look, it was very disinteresting to me, this whole plot line with the frog lady and her offspring. Very disinteresting. What was very interesting this episode was Baby Yoda, the cannibal. Alright, no, he didn't eat his own species or anything, but Baby Yoda, the second he laid eyes on this fish tank with all the eggs, he got hungry. And so every time everyone looked away, he just popped one out, put it in his mouth, popped another egg out, put it in his mouth. He ate on screen like 4 or 5 eggs. There was a point where we saw him go up to the tank and he put his hand on it. I was thinking, oh, is he going to like merge them or something? Or I'm thinking he was going to hatch the eggs or something. No, he just wanted to eat them. He just wanted to eat them. And there is a part in the episode where Mando catches Baby Yoda eating these eggs, and then it cuts to the next scene. It shows Mando and the Frog Lady talking. Right in the background, you see Baby Yoda eating candy from like a little tray. It's like Mando gave it to him. He's like, all right, shut up. Eat your human food. Eat your Baby Yoda food. Don't eat this lady's babies. So the real star of this episode was indeed Baby Yoda. We got a little bit of him in the last episode. Again, he was just reduced to little shots of him reacting to things, making little baby noises, which I swear they're the most cliche, stereotypical Disney baby noises ever. And the majority of them, I swear to you, come from Boo from Monsters, Inc. So Mando's driving the Raven Crest, I believe that's what his ship is called, which is a really dope name for a ship. And then you see 2 X-Wings just come up right behind him on the left side and the right side. And one of them, if I'm not mistaken, is Dave Filoni, the guy who created the Clone Wars and the guy who's behind The Mandalorian with Jon Favreau. I thought this was the first time we saw him, but apparently not. He was in the Prisoner episode in season 1 when Mando left the tracker in the one guy and then the X-Wings came after them, blew up their little harbor in space. And yeah, I guess Dave Filoni made his appearance there. It's really cool to see Dave Filoni in this. That's really cool. Like, who wouldn't want to be a character in your own project, let alone Star Wars? The X-Wings are on the left and the right side of Mando. They're asking him to ping them something, they're trying to see if he's with the Empire or the New Republic. And he's like, oh, I'm not Empire or anything, just make my way through. He's basically smuggling this frog and her babies, so... yeah, they just get a little aggravated. They're like, hey, switch to line 2? Switch to line 2? And then they cut off from Mando's speakers. And then he looks to the left. He sees the wings open up on both the X-Wings. And he's like, oh, crap. And then he just starts booking it right to the planet that they're hanging above. Leads to this big chase with the 2 X-Wings chasing the Raven Crest. It's fun. It looks really visually appealing. And then Mando tries to flank him to land onto the planet in a very rough manner. He screws up his ship so bad. Mando crash lands into this very tight spot in the ice. The ship is wrecked, and he's stuck in the ice. So now they just gotta chill there for a little bit. The Frog Lady is getting aggravated. She just wants to go to her husband to retrieve the babies. Baby Yoda's munching more on some of these eggs when she's not looking. I don't understand how she didn't know. Does she not know how many eggs are in here? Like, does she not keeping count? Then for some reason, this is the part I really just didn't care for in the episode. The Frog Lady takes her eggs, puts them in this, like, hot ice bathtub. They have to go get her, and because of her, in this hot tub, Baby Yoda stumbles upon even more of the eggs inside the pool. Mando says no. He's like, and then Baby Yoda just turns around and sees a bunch of other eggs right behind him. He's like, more food. Munches on one of them. It's a spider. It's a baby spider, like a fetal spider that he just opens up, eats like it's nothing, and then he failed to see all the other eggs surrounding the one he was eating from started hatching, and then they started chasing Mando and Baby Yoda and the Frog Lady. They just started growing, I guess, or like the older ones started coming through, and then they ran into the Big Mama. The one, it's ginormous. So they flee their way back into the ship. The spiders still make it through because there's a giant hole on the side of the ship. They all crawl into the cockpit. Spiders are trying to get through. Mando uses his flamethrower to burn them all, and then, yeah. They have to stay in the cockpit now. Mando starts up the ship's rising, and then the big spider comes back right down on the ship, and then it starts getting shot at. We're like, uh-oh, who's outside? But no, it was the 2 X-Wing pilots from before. They're just shooting from their cockpits, and then they look at Mando. You're welcome. They tell Mando, yeah, we know you're smuggling someone, but you did all these other good things, so we're not going to arrest you. But we don't have to save you. So they just ditch him. And then Mando has to fix his ship a little bit. He has to leave the whole back part the way it is and just secure the cockpit because that's all that's salvageable. And then the episode just ends. Like, they're flying away. The frog lady sees Baby Yoda look at the tank all hungrily, and she's like, you ain't gonna eat my babies. And then Baby Yoda's like, he just had one in his pocket. But like I said, this episode was a very tamed, condensed episode. Like, probably one of the smaller and less consequential episodes. However, this whole smuggling the frog lady thing wasn't resolved at the end of this episode. Perhaps this story will get better as we go along. At least we can hope so. Guys, thank you so much for joining me on the Season 2, Episode 2 review of The Mandalorian. Leave a comment down below. Tell me what you thought about the episode. Give us a like, give me a subscribe, and be sure to stick around because there's always more to come.